And we're live. Welcome to the Lakers Late Night Podcast. I'm Anthony Irwin. I had a minor freak out there for a second because I thought my computer or my internet was going to fail us tonight. It did not. We are talking about this game somewhat fortunately, I guess. We're joined by Harrison Fagan. What did you think of the game, Harrison? I actually fell asleep in the second quarter.
Hey, so you pulled me. You went a little earlier. That's a veteran move right there. You get your nap in. See, I did that against the Pacers, but you were smart. You got your nap in the second quarter and woke up by the end of the game, so that your co-host didn't have to wake you up.
Right. I woke up. I try to if that's going to happen. I try to make it happen in the second quarter, so you have all of halftime to either extend the nap or get yourself back and completely awake by the time the second half starts, and fully recover by the time we have to be on the air. So for those of you wondering about how professional or how to be professional in this industry, listen to this guy about how to manage your nap time.
That's what I always do. But no, I thought the game was enjoyable tonight. It was cool. It was a nice surprise that D'Angelo was back in the starting lineup, and I thought he played relatively well.
I kind of wish the first game that they opened the second half of the season up with was at home, right? Yeah, they opened up against San Antonio. Question: why not have D'Angelo Russell get back in the starting lineup at home?
Answer: because you're assuming logic in a situation where there hasn't been a lot used.
It's like think about, the kind of bump that he gets that the fans would give him. He's at home, he's in a familiar environment, he's ready to go. The second half of the season starts. It's what people were looking for anyway. Why not make that happen then versus doing it just dropping out on the fans' doorstep tonight in Chicago in a game that nobody's going to remember anyway?
Hey, there were tons of Lakers fans there, or I guess mostly Kobe fans there.
Mostly Kobe fans.
Yeah, and then but Russell didn't really need the boost. He got his 15 points, 6 of 13 shooting. I thought he was really impressive.
He continues to be. He had that one pass to Randle that I've watched
just
the Vine.
Yeah, there was no angle there. I don't know how that got through.
Right, I think it was Trevor Lane from Lakers Nation put the Vine up there. So shouts to Trevor. But that was I have no idea how that pass got through or how he even saw him. He's dribbling, the ball's in his right hand. He has a 7'5" big bird named Pau Gasol in between him and Julius Randle to make that pass work. And he somehow tucks it around Gasol's body to into a crazy small gap to make that work. For people who wonder, like, why is there a bunch of hype about the guy? I don't know any other rookies who make that pass as regularly as Russell has done it. And that's the second or third time he's made that pass this year.
Yeah, he clearly is a very good playmaker. And he'll make some dangerous passes sometimes. Like that was a dangerous pass that could have gotten picked off. And so he'll get turnovers, and that's just going to happen to a talented point guard in their rookie year. It's a creativity tax. It's just that they're going to start to learn. He has to start to learn which windows he can fit things into and which ones he can't. And so that's all part of the learning process.
Right. But that if a turnover happens in that spot, I'm fine with the turnover happening in that spot because it's going to be jumbled around. There are 3 other players around it. They still have 90-something feet to go to try to take advantage of said turnover. Whereas when you see, kind of more, the more devastating turnovers happen, near the top of the key or with post players who are passing out of
passing from the wing to the top of the key, that kind of where there's no players to quickly transition into defenders.
It's just
not that the Lakers do a great job about that anyway.
So yeah, that pass and really, like you said, the rest of his game tonight was very impressive. Let me see his turnover total. Yeah, and only 2 turnovers for somebody who I think too much is made over turnovers with Russell because I haven't seen too many games where he's had more than 4. 2 or 3 turnovers a game for a point guard who has the ball in his hands for the majority of his time on the court. I'd live with that every day of the week by a veteran point guard, let alone a rookie.
And he's a 19-year-old rookie.
Right, yeah. So, Yeah, I mean it's tonight was another example and further example of, hey, why aren't we playing or starting this guy more often? He seems ready for the situation. Just throw him back in there. What have we been waiting for? So I'm sure Byron is taking credit
It
for
finally
his playing
happened.
well.
We got to a nice round number where there were 25. Like a shout out to Forum Blue and Gold, Darius Soriano.
Uh-huh.
Got to a nice round number. 25 games left. Russell gets to start.
So the Lakers wind up falling tonight. Final score was 126-115, which brings me to my next point. The Lakers are 11-46 on the season. Can you honestly? I was literally racking my brain, and I don't know if I could even find this statistically on the internet. When was the last game?
Internets?
Yeah, I did. I like to, I'm hip with the lingo, yo.
All right, thanks, Dad.
But when was the last time you can remember a game that the Lakers played in that they weren't down double digits?
You mean like the whole way? Yeah.
At some point in that game that they weren't down, the deficit didn't get to at least 10.
The deficit was in double digits in this game.
Yeah, they were down by 19 at one point.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, oh, okay. You mean as a lot? I thought that you were talking about it as tonight, and okay.
Yeah, by extension over the entirety of the season. If I said the over-under of games the Lakers have played this season was 5.5, that they weren't at some point down double digits.
I think there's, I'm sure there's a way to look that up, but it wouldn't surprise me if there hasn't been a game this this season where they haven't been down double digits at one point. I have
my theory on it.
Okay.
The Lakers aren't very good, so there's no end of theory. That's it. So next topic.
I mean, you don't really need to sell me on much more than that. I've watched every game, so.
But I do think, I think it's a playing style kind of thing where you watch other teams. I was watching Golden State play against the Clippers yesterday, and that was a fun game. But I'm watching Golden State play, and it's really rare that they don't get a good shot off. It's incredibly rare. That while you're watching them play, some set doesn't wind up in some kind of good shot. Whereas you flip that around and the Lakers, it's really rare that they get a good shot. The Lakers started the second half today I think Kobe scored 8 points to start the second half, which is fun. And the Lakers account gets to tweet that out, that Mamba's on fire. But then they find themselves down by 8, just like that. And it's not an efficient way to play basketball. So I think
just to channel my inner Byron Scott tonight, the problem was not the offense. Their offense tonight, I thought it wasn't great, but they were scoring efficiently. Like it was still a lot. They were scoring in a lot of the same ways that we complain about when they're missing. But the offense wasn't as big of an issue tonight because their shots were going in. Their defense was the major problem tonight.
Right, and that kind of that puts a bow on the entire thing, is that teams that they play against and teams just throughout the NBA just seem to get better shots more often. Their shots are really easy to come by, and the Lakers, aren't. Their shots tend to be ISO driven, on the wing, contested mid-range jumpers, and you take 2 or 3 of those in a row and you give up a couple threes, and all of a sudden a 3-point lead becomes a 9-point lead, or a 5-point lead becomes a 12-point lead before you even realize what hit you.
It's like even the easy shots that the Lakers get are just isolations that went really well a lot of the time. D'Angelo Russell will drive past someone and get to the basket, or same thing with Julius tonight, did it a few times. And they just get past their man and get to the cup and get a layup. But they aren't getting layups most of the time because of some really good off-ball action where they lost their man, or, like we were talking about against San Antonio, the strategy that they were using of just having Lou Williams guy cut to the basket. Like there's not a whole lot of cutting or movement or off-ball anything in the Lakers offense.
Right. I'm getting some comments that it looks like I'm wearing a really short tie, so I'm just going to go ahead and button up completely. There you go, everybody. Full-on tiny tie, Jacob and Honey. There you go. So Man, this makes my face look fat. I'm
Well, so speaking of Russell starting tonight, Byron Scott said that he plans to start Russell for the last 26 games of the season. They're 25, so Byron, I think, is predicting a playoff appearance.
Playoff push is coming.
It's coming.
He is really confident about what D'Angelo Russell is going to do to this Lakers offense by putting him back into the starting lineup.
In fairness to him, he probably meant including tonight and just like misspoke, but no, I thought that was kind of funny.
Math doesn't win championships, Harrison.
Yeah. Or hey, he's promising starting the next game, like next preseason.
And there you go. All right. So I pronounced Tony's name wrong. I don't know how you pronounce it. Bliss. So the next thing I wanted to talk about, we'll go ahead. It's pretty uneventful. The Lakers offense looked good. The Lakers defense didn't look very good.
I don't even know. It didn't look good. They just had shots go in.
Well, okay. Well, I mean, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
That's the curve we're grading on.
We're arguing semantics, but yeah, it was like it didn't even look that good. There was still plenty to complain about. It was just working because the Bulls' defense isn't very good.
Oh, I do think there was a really brief conversation, or not really even a conversation, but a couple notes were made on Twitter tonight that I thought were pretty poignant, pretty well made. Is that Randle? He's so much better doing literally everything to his left. We know about the finishing, we know about the actual handle with his left hand, but the thing that I think is the most lacking, and I think the largest impact that he needs to, when he improves in this way, it'll benefit the entire team, is that when he's dribbling to his right, there is no thought other than I need to either get the ball back to my left hand or I need to get a shot up. There is no thought of driving and kicking when he's going to his right. Whereas when he dribbles to his left, I think he's very good at keeping his head up and finding cutters and finding guys open on the perimeter. And
some of that is like you played basketball. And so when you're whatever hand you're more comfortable dribbling with, you're going to feel more comfortable looking up and keeping your head on a swivel than if you're a little bit more worried about it with your right hand and you're trying to watch the ball and make sure that you're not losing it.
And then there's also, when you watch him throw his actual passes, he's using his a very left-hand dominant pass. It's not the kind of pass that they teach you in YMCA where you use both hands. He throws more of a whip pass using his left hand. And when you're making that kind of pass and you aren't very good with your right hand, you're not going to be able to make very many passes with that offhand, which again further speaks to how one-dimensional his ambidexterity makes him on offense.
He's not ambidextrous. That's what you're trying to say. Yes. Okay.
Anti-ambidexterity. Anthony
You're
Irwin,
the English major. I'll let you go with it.
Here I am being paid to speak on camera, and I can't speak at all.
Hey, shouts to John Barry.
Charles Barkley's like, you said that perfectly fine. All right, so we'll go ahead and move on. Kobe Powell tonight, I thought shared a pretty cool moment there at the end of the game. You don't know what's being said, partially because I'm not very good at reading lips, but also because I think they speak Spanish to each other. I just want to really quickly, before we move completely on, what's your favorite Kobe Powell moment ever?
Oh, man. That's a good question. I don't know that I have like one moment that's a favorite. I just like I was watching. You probably saw that video today that that YouTube user Mamba Don't Fear put out. That was really good. Everybody should go check it out on his channel. And I put it up on Silver Screen and Roll as well. And just their passing and their chemistry with each other and finding each other. I guess maybe it goes back to. I guess if we have to pick a favorite moment, it's that when they were communicating in Spanish on the court together because opponents wouldn't be able to pick up on it. Right. And just that kind of stuff, just how well you just would never think based on their public personas that would be two guys that would mesh so perfectly. But they really were a perfect yin and yang together. And I think that's probably what I'll always remember.
Just the overall entirety of that relationship is really cool. For me, it was Powell coming to the Lakers and immediately forming chemistry with Kobe. And that day when he was traded, I think it was it Valentine's Day? It was pretty close to Valentine's Day that the trade was made. And
I mean, that's usually when the trade deadline's around. So probably, it was right around there.
And so Powell shows up, and that was the same season. Remember, just that summer, Kobe was
demanding a trade and looking for houses in Chicago.
Right, and he said he'd play in Pluto. He'd play on Pluto, which may
I don't
or may
think
not
he was
even be a
looking for
planet.
houses on Pluto. Yeah.
Well, I think there aren't houses on a non-planet or a pseudo planet. So you have that going on. But it was
to astronomy.
I wish so badly you would have said astrology there. That would have been great. But it was really cool. Powell comes over. They share immediate chemistry on the court. And I don't know who, I think it might have been McMenamin, asked him after that first game, what did you think of playing with Powell? It was great. He understands the game at an incredible level. What does this do for your trade demands? And Kobe said, what do you think? And that pretty much ended that entire conversation. And for much of that year, you went through that year, like you just reading tea leaves, reading into every single thing said across the entire organization. Would Kobe Bryant get traded? And then when he finally says, what do you think? Putting a complete nail in that coffin around the entire speculation. That was that completely altered the course of the franchise. The franchise, I don't think, would have recovered very well had they traded Kobe that year.
No, yeah, I don't know, unless they got LeBron, like they were talking to Cleveland about. But yeah, I don't know. The report, like that, I think the report was that Chicago was willing to offer them like what it was, like Luol Deng and who else was it? Was it Ben Gordon?
Yeah, and I think it was a big too. There was a big in there too.
Deng is the name that I remember. Because I think he was the major piece coming back. And like, that's okay. That's a couple okay players. They formed the nucleus of like a pretty good team in Chicago, but they had MVP Derrick Rose pushing them. Well, I guess not Ben Gordon. He went to the Pistons before that, but you know what I mean.
And well, you think about it now, it's almost laughable, right? Taking Luol Deng back for now Kobe Bryant. When you think about everything that's kind of transpired since then. So
yeah. No, it's crazy. And it goes to your point exactly. I don't know how well they would have recovered.
So that's my favorite Kobe Powell moment. And then the titles and all that was great too. So we heart you, Powell. Powell's great. Yeah. All right, so we'll go ahead and wrap up with a little speculation of things we might see over the next week or two. The buyout season is in full effect now. Anderson Varejao was bought out by Portland and now signs with Golden State reportedly. I think he actually confirmed it too. So
yeah, I saw he texted Chris Herring, I think, or not Chris Herring, Chris Haynes.
It's weird. Chris Haynes says that he sent the text of a photo of an image of a screen cap of him texting Chris that he's coming to or that he's going to Golden State. So that's weird.
Yeah,
I thought it'd be easier.
Maybe he thinks there's a character limit on text. Got that like old school plan where it's if you go over 140 characters, that's 2 messages, and you only have 200 a month. Like he didn't want to use them up. Exactly.
Yep. It's definitely what happened. Anderson Varejao, multi-millionaire, can't afford a limited text plan. All right, so back to the Lakers. The Lakers have a couple guys who I believe are eligible or seem to make sense to be bought out. I'll go ahead and let you talk about the two. I think there are 2 guys that you said before we went on the air that you'd like to see bought out.
There are 2 guys that jump out as being buyout candidates, and it's Roy Hibbert and Brandon Bass. And I think if I had to pick one of them to be bought out, and it's the one that I actually think it's a little bit more realistic because Brandon Bass is going to be a free agent, or I guess Hibbert is too going to be a free agent this summer anyway. But I think I would rather see Roy Hibbert bought out just because he just hasn't been helpful to the team on the floor, and you just really want to get Black in there. And so I kind of focused on the bigs because I think that it's clear that either Bass or Hibbert should be out of the rotation at this point to get Black in there. And it shouldn't be Bass. Bass has earned his spot in the rotation. I think he's played really well. And so after a really rough start to the season. So I just think that it kind of has to be Hibbert. And there was a report that he might be amenable to a buyout, but then it sounded like the Lakers weren't going to do that. So I don't know that it's how realistic it is that it's actually going to happen. But I think that would be my preference. I don't know. How do you feel about it?
I feel the same way. I think it comes down to, I mean, they aren't going to buy out Nick Young, who has multiple years left on his contract. Same goes for Lou
that's
Williams.
unrealistic.
Those guys aren't going anywhere anytime soon. And not only the Tarek Black element playing into here, but at some point, why not find out what you have in Robert Upshaw? Why not
it gives you the opportunity to not only get Black into the rotation, but you call up Robert Upshaw, who had a career high 18 points tonight. I think he had 8 rebounds to go with it, but he went 9 of 11 from the field. And I haven't gotten to watch the highlights yet, but from what I've heard, people were salivating over them a little bit. So it's like, if you don't call him up and another team does, then that's an asset that you lost for nothing. And maybe he doesn't turn into anything, but he has a much bigger chance to turn into something for the future of the franchise than Roy Hibbert or Brandon Bass.
Robert Sacre, I guess, fits into that same thing too, right? Because I don't think he's not.
They'd waive him. I don't think that Robert Sacre is getting a buyout. I don't.
So, well, either way, though,
sign with
they have 3 bigs who Bass. I guess Bass does help, and there's something to be said. I'd imagine there are those out there who say, well, Hibbert helps the bigs, learn, as a mentor, off the court. So okay, fine, but of those 3 names of Sacre, Hibbert, and Bass, at least one of those guys shouldn't finish the year on the Lakers. It just doesn't make any sense, because you have guys either in the D-League, Upshaw, or on the bench, Black, who deserve minutes, and you want to find out. It's just like the end of the last 2 seasons have all been extended tryouts to see what you have going into another offseason that will probably feature a whole bunch of player movement. So it just makes sense to make that kind of move happen and get those minutes across the board for players that,
because Black's going to be a free agent. You need to know if he is that 3rd, 4th big that you want to keep around for the next year or 2.
Right.
You have to figure that out, and you can't necessarily do it in practice.
Right. Completely agree. So those 2 guys. Anybody, I guess, is there anybody that you're hoping to get? There's nobody. It's not like the Lakers are going to sign anybody who gets bought out anyway.
Yeah, you think they got a chance at David Lee? I'm just kidding. No. I'm kidding.
Yes, that's somebody who apparently will be signing in Dallas. I think tomorrow is what was.
I saw some Dallas people saying that a team that doesn't have playoff aspirations, so we can put big old check mark there for the Lakers, should take a look at John Jenkins, who the Mavericks just had to waive. And I have no opinions on John Jenkins. I don't think I've watched a second of John Jenkins play basketball, but there were some Mavs people that I respect that were saying that some teams should maybe take a look at him. So potentially that's a guy you want to look at.
I guess so, and for no other reasons, when he makes a good play, I can just scream on Twitter, John Jenkins, Jingleheimer Schmidt.
Oh, I thought you were going the other way, the Leroy Jenkins.
both solid tweets. So
it's such a versatile name. We need to get this guy just for this. He could be terrible. That's fine. We'll just get him in at garbage time and get excited.
Versatility is huge in the NBA, so those 2 things make a whole bunch of sense.
Yeah, as a social media coordinator, I fully endorse the move.
All right, so that does it for this game. We slip in a Leroy Jenkins reference. Didn't see that coming when we started the show.
I never see anything coming.
It's like my dog on the right side of her face. Lakers once again fall 126 to 115 to the Chicago Bulls. They play again tomorrow. We'll be right back here tomorrow with more interesting references for anybody willing to stick around long enough.
Possibly joined by a very special guest that we will reveal at a later time.
Very possible. Thank you very much, Harrison, for joining us. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and have a great rest of your Walking Dead Sunday.
Thanks, Anthony.